Now Athens, first time there. Overall, I don't know. I was expecting to feel more like Rome, not necessarily the culture, people, that kind of thing, but just the overall feeling of the city, and I didn't quite get that. It was I don't know. It seemed dirtier. It just seemed like like any other kind of city there. I mean, it was nice to have some of these things in view, like on top of the Acropolis there, the Parthenon and stuff, where you're like, oh wow, there's that. Um, I guess you get used to that after a while, or maybe you wouldn't even notice it if you grew up there. But that kind of stuff was cool. But overall, there wasn't really a lot going on there. And I do feel sorry for the country itself because earlier on in their history there, they were just raided and plundered and stuff, by Romans and other folks there too. So a lot of their antiquities are no longer on site. And they've been trying to go out and get them to bring on back. And they're working on putting a new museum together so they could display some of these things. And one thing in particular was the Venus de Milo, which is in the Louvre in France there. And basically, Greece is going, "Excuse me, France, could we have our statue back?" And France is like, "No, I don't think so. It's much more accessible over here, and people kind of know where it is, and we're taking care of it, so no." So who knows what will happen with that part of it? I mean, there may be some truth to that, but the kind of the arrogance of saying, "Well, it doesn't belong to you, Greece. It belongs to the people of the world," and yet, France is holding on to the thing. I don't know. We'll see how that happens. Um, so I mean, the cruise itself. I mean, I'll post pictures and I'll comment on the photos there. I know this is running along already as it stands. The return trip. I mean, obviously we had to return early. Wasn't a happy trip. Little distracted there. And the cruise line was fantastic in helping us out with this stuff that way. I mean, they planned everything for us, making sure we had car transportation from the first port in Turkey that actually had an airport nearby. So they had the boat arrive an hour earlier to the dock than originally planned. Captain met us down there at the bottom of the ramp, as well as the ship's purser who we were dealing with, wished us a send off there. So I mean, that was nice. But the car service too. I mean, it was just like a little minivan, two guys there, loaded all our bags up, drove us to the airport. There was probably an hour drive there. There were two sections like there are in most international airports, domestic and international. Now we thought this would be an international flight ourselves because we're going from here to Istanbul and then going back out to New York direct. And that's what he thought too. But when he called up, they said, "No, no, no, it's domestic because you're just going from one airport to Istanbul and then Istanbul on out." So anyway, we ended up being at the wrong airport. I had to tip two baggage handlers. Now, before you even get into the airport entrance there, you see guys, carrying like the machine guns and stuff. And as soon as you enter the airport doors, even before going to any security gate or even the ticket check-in counter, you got to X-ray and search. I mean, and as luck would have it, first bag that comes through from us, "Oh, excuse me, we need to see this." Now, luckily, the guy that was our driver was with us and he was able to translate some stuff there because even though their English is much better than my Turkish would be, there's still some things I'm like, what? And of course, they pick the garment bag that you need to sit on as you're sitting on the thing and like zipping it across to get it closed. They choose that one to open up. So I have to open that one up and put that back together. Anyway, we finally get to where we needed to go. And we're waiting around. Oh, and the guy was also very helpful. He waited until we got our boarding passes and stuff and sent us on our merry way once pointed us in the direction where the gates were. So that was kind of cool. Of course, all the announcements, for the most part, are not understandable, pre-recorded, that kind of thing. We're sitting at the gate, and then we start hearing things like, "Oh, flight now boarding." We're looking. There's no plane. There are people who start showing up, which is a good thing. And then they're saying, "Oh, flight now leaving." I'm like, "Okay, we're not there." And we get on board, and I start seeing people, being stopped before you even go out to the boarding room, and you have to get your passport and stuff out again for there. So we're digging that stuff up. And the flight from Izmir to Istanbul wasn't that bad. The plane and the equipment was relatively new. The one from Istanbul to New York, older plane, very, very uncomfortable. That 11-hour plane ride thing completely wiped out my wife's back. I mean, she's still suffering as we speak now, and that's what, June 28th or 29th or something like that when we came back. So that wasn't good, and last minute stuff, we really couldn't do much about that. Now, one thing I thought was kind of funny is the announcements on board the plane. I mean, they do the Turkish stuff first, and they do the English translation. And one of the things is, can't operate electric shavers. And I'm sure it's just electric devices, and they just kind of threw in examples, but I've never seen anyone sitting, in a seat, shaving themselves with a shaver. And the next thing was radio-controlled toys, which I understand, radio-controlled, probably not good, but at the same time, I mean, I can even imagine someone like sitting there, doing a little car up and down, or like a little helicopter plane thing inside the cabin with a thing and shaving at the same time, and oh, sorry. But anyway, we came back. Good to be back, but then not good to be back, if you know what I mean. But we will have to plan out another trip to finish off the stops that we didn't get a chance to do. And I think that is it for me. I mean, this was sponsored by the letter Pi for Elbow Crazy there. I know she wanted that. Oh, yeah, Red vs. Blue 2 in Canada there. Looks like it was fun. Maybe sometime I'll be able to do some of those things just for a win. It'd be kind of cool. But anyway, I will see you guys online, and take care, and